Hey, what is up, my friends? Skipper here, and I am back after finally having my new PC. And here's just a quick. By the way, this mic is only temporary. I know it's bad. I'm getting a new one soon. But I'll explain all the stuff that's happened in channel update. I'm doing an online battle for Empire Total War. I'm playing as Great Britain with my friend Aitchy, who is my ally, also playing as Great Britain. And we're against two people who I met in a battle, who are both playing as Sweden, and we're on TeamSpeak and they're in Skype. So here is my army, there's Aitchy's army. I'm on this side, I'm with the green around the British flag, Aitchy's right with the blue. So let's just look at my army quickly. I have a Lifeguard unit, Heavy Cavalry unit, Regiment of Horse, and then if we go over here, another Regiment of Horse, another Heavy Cavalry, another Lifeguard, and a General's Staff. I've got two 24-pounder foot artillery. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 4 basic line infantry, 2 Coldstream Guards. Both the Coldstream Guards have 1 chevron, one of the line infantry has 1 chevron. And I have... oh, where'd they go? Just wait for this. I have 2 Rangers. No, 3 Ranger units as well. So that's my army. Over here, Aitchy he's got 1 General's Bodyguard with 2 chevrons, a Coldstream Guard with 4 chevrons, some Light Dragoons with 3 chevrons, some Horse Guards with 3 chevrons, so a company of Select Marksmen / Fraser's Rangers with 4 chevrons, 2 6-pounder Horse Artillery, both with 3 chevrons. He's got 1 line infantry with 2 chevrons, 1 33rd foot with 3 chevrons, another line infantry with 2 chevrons, another line infantry with 2 chevrons, some Coldstream with 4 chevrons, and some Royal Welsh Fusiliers, they're Grenadiers, with 4 chevrons, some more Light Dragoons with 3... oh no, we've already counted them, so they don't count. So yeah, that's his army. And we're both talking in TeamSpeak. I told him that he should try and get this left hill. So he starts by doing that, but actually we didn't realise they spawned closer to the hill. So they got that. I positioned my men along this ridge, along here. And I played these guys previously and they beat me. And they played on the defensive, so I planned to force them into an attack, because I thought that would be their weakness. So I get my guys in double line screen, so I've got my Rangers in front with my line infantry behind. I got my artillery in front so I couldn't move it onto this ridge. You'll see that in a minute. Let's just quickly go over the enemy or opponent armies. So they have... the opponent I'm facing has 2 Lifeguards of Horse, 1 General's Bodyguard, 1, 2, 3, 4 Lifeguards of Foot, 7 line infantry, and 2 24-pounder foot artillery, same as me, that artillery. His ally has 1 Pelita, I don't know how you say that, horse unit. They're both playing as Sweden, we're both playing as Great Britain, by the way. 1 line infantry, 1 6-pounder horse, some riflemen, some Lifeguards of Foot, more Lifeguards of Foot, 3 Lifeguards of Foot, 2 riflemen, 3 riflemen, a 24-pounder howitzer, some more of that funny pronouncy horse thingy, and some militia, as well as 2 line infantry units and some, more of that funny cavalry thingy. She's got a ton of those funny named cavalry thingies. So both Aitchy and his opponent have pretty varied armies, whereas both me and my opponent have pretty standard armies. I'm the host, and the unit scale is large, with a large amount of money. The rules were no fixed artillery and no more than 2 artillery. As you can see, I'm moving my artillery up onto this ridge, and then I'm going to put my guys in double line screened in front of it. I told Aitchy to try and get this hill, but you realise that these guys spawn closer, so I told him, okay, get close to me, we'll form a big line along here, along this ridge. But I also warned him to keep some units along here so he doesn't get flanked, but we'll come to that later. Anyway, he spawned, well, he deployed his artillery in front of his line, and so did I, but I was moving mine onto this ridge. So, by the time, hang on, just fast forward this. So I went and just stopped mine up here. You can see here. But my units went in front, and he was able to shoot my units. I wasn't able to shoot him. So that is where me and Aitchy started our first attack. Well, we decided to counter that as best we could. Unfortunately, it cost Aitchy some units, but I finally managed to stop it. Oh, by the way, I put all my cavalry up on this ridge. This is vital. This is vital because whilst I do most of the damage up here at the end, but this I do a little pincer, and that's kind of like the finishing touch. I'm not gonna spoil it for you. Anyway, I looked at his units. I realised he didn't have any skirmishers or light infantry, whereas I did. So I said to Aitchy, okay, they clearly want to play on the defensive again. We don't want to let them play on the defensive because they're prepared for that. We don't want them to be prepared. So I said, okay, we'll start playing on defensive. In order for them to attack, we need to draw them in. And we are able to do that because we have longer range units than them, because we have light infantry and skirmishers. I made sure Aitchy brought light infantry and skirmishers. Here you go, here's all mine. He doesn't have any. His only long range unit is his artillery, which he positioned very carefully. But as soon as they're gone, then he's forced to attack. Anyway, here you can see these guys are actually all hidden, so I'm not sure if he knew that these were here or not, but he certainly didn't act well enough if he knew that they were there. He might not have known that they were there, because they were hidden. Anyway, I see him just hammering away at my men. I realise that my artillery here is unable to fire, unable to return fire. So I say to Aitchy, okay, could you bring your horse artillery over here and start taking pot shots at his artillery? That'll give me time to move mine up without being shot at. So Aitchy starts moving his artillery up here, as you can see. He's got horse artillery, that's why I asked him to do it. He also starts moving his line over. He moves them all the way along here. There's a gap here, and I say he will start trying to. He'll start trying to wrap around you. He'll start trying to flank you. So I tell him to move some units around here. But that's where he gets into the action. You'll see all that later. As you can see, both our opponents are content to kind of sit here and wait, and let us do all the work. Let us attack. And I know this, having played them before. And so I'm telling Aitchy, don't attack whatever you do, and I'm telling him to get into all these positions, and he's just going, yep, sure, whatever. And we've got a nice little plan that comes along. Not everything goes to plan. For example, this is our first little mistake, but it goes well at the end. It's a nice victory that I got. Spoiler alert. Anyway, his artillery is very well positioned. He occasionally hits a few men. Thankfully, most of his shots seem to go in the gaps between my men or up here, and he completely misses this artillery, which is vital because without this, I do move them, but without them, I would not have. Well, I probably could have forced him to attack, but it would have cost me so many units, and I would have had to advance off my ridge. Anyway, so Aitchy positions his artillery, starts unlimbering, and then our opponent sends his cavalry over here, and we think, oh dear, not good. So I say, okay, Aitchy, I'm going to send my lifeguards. I send both my lifeguard units down to try and help him. They don't get there in time. It's kind of miraculous though, because Aitchy actually manages to fight off this unit of cavalry. he loses his artillery, but he's still got this artillery crew which he can use as kamikaze. He actually manages to fight them off before my cavalry even arrives, which I find pretty astonishing. Anyway, as soon as they're gone, I think I'm not going to pursue. I'm going to stay put, and I move these 2 lifeguard units here, and I keep the rest of my cavalry up there. That way, I've got cavalry on both flanks, but mainly on this ridge here, and that is good positioning. Anyway, I realise that I get a few shots off his cavalry with my artillery here, but I realise that now Aitchy's artillery is there. I don't have any cover to bid my artillery down, so I have to do this without cover. As you will see, Aitchy's opponent starts launching cavalry attacks. But yeah, he just stops here. He's kind of drawing a line in the sand. He's trying to see. He's testing Aitchy, seeing if he will react or not, and he is marking his territory there. I'm not bothered about that. That's Aitchy's problem, because I know that if I succeed on this flank, then we have won the battle. I can swing round, and no matter how good this player is, with these units, he will not be able to stop my line infantry up close, as well as Aitchy's line infantry. Because the British in this game have, in fact, the best line infantry. So anyway, Aitchy's taken lots of casualties, just, you know, from occasional artillery shots. He's, of course, lost his artillery. Our opponent is being sneaky and occasionally sending up cavalry charges. As you see, I've limbered my artillery. I'm going to start marching them down this hill in a minute. Okay. Something must have happened then. Oh, I know why. Aitchy said, "Oh, he's advancing his advancing his lines. He's advancing his cavalry." So I come over here and start telling Aitchy, "Stay put. Keep your lines stretched. Make sure you send some units around here so he doesn't flank you." Blah blah blah. That's where he starts sending his cavalry up here, and then I go back here and start ordering my artillery to move. And thankfully, they don't get hit by the artillery. Because this was very well positioned, I'll give him that. Because he countered the fact he had no defensive, no units to pull me into a defensive, no units to keep him defensive, no units to pull me into an attack. He had no long-range units apart from this artillery. But he managed to counter that with the fact that he placed his artillery well. Now any player would see that he's being shot at and have to advance, but I took my time because I knew that these guys were hidden, and that was vital. Line got a bit stretched out here, our artillery's been popping up here. Anyway, as you can see, my artillery goes just in front of these skirmishers. He doesn't know these skirmishers are there. He might do, but he hasn't taken it in. He starts moving these guys up. Some of them he puts in this forest and just hides. The others, I'm not actually sure. I think he just leaves them here. He doesn't really do anything to them, because he realizes he's putting artillery up. I know the only part they play is when they advance. Those units, they pretty much get obliterated by my Coldstreams. Yeah, he's realised that I'm moving. Well, no, they haven't realised yet, but he's going to soon realise that I've moved my artillery up, and I put mine in a very good position. I copy him and put mine in front of my line. Take the risk, but look, with these, I just take out his cannons. I lose about 2 cannons by the time he's lost all of his. So this is just a kind of skirmish phase. We're exchanging blows. I've got a very good position here, so I'm willing to leave it. He starts hiding his men in this forest. Our opponent, this is what I feared. He's trying to swing round here, flank Aitchy. So I said to Aitchy, "Don't let him do that," and I tell him to move his where are they? Yeah, I tell him to move these up here first, and then later on, I tell him to move his Coldstream and his Grenadiers up here as well. Because he tries to, he does actually swing around. He manages to just completely push Aitchy back, and we're thinking, oh god, they're starting to win. But then I do the equivalent here. So anyway, you see, one cannon's just been taken out. It's just an exchange of artillery here. There we go, I just took out another cannon. He's taken out my horses, but I'm not really bothered because I don't really want to move from this position. I'm willing to turn to canister if he charges. He hasn't hit any of my cannons, and that's the main thing. So yeah, pretty deadly exchange there of cannon fire. This opponent, he swings round and he realises that I'm getting some good shots off, and so he turns his artillery towards mine, he ignores Aitchy. Because I don't... Oh yeah, Aitchy lost all his artillery at the beginning, and at the moment we're in the skirmish phase, so this is the important part. Forget about the rest of the lines, he needs to take out their artillery. He loses his units, he starts advancing them, but they just get completely obliterated. He just stops them here for some reason, and later on he tries to move them in there, he moves them back. Later on I put the shrapnel shell on and just destroy their entire unit. The problem I have with that is my artillery kept firing. I kept saying fire at this unit, but they kept ignoring me. So that was really annoying on my part. So that was another clever move by him. And as you can see, his teammate is firing on me. I still don't know that these rangers are here. I don't think. But yeah, Aitchy's done what he shouldn't. He's started bending his line around here. So this is where I tell him to move his Coldstream and his Welsh Fusiliers up here with his cavalry in order to stop him from wrapping round and gaining the advantage on the flanks. Aitchy tries, but it's a bit late, but by that time it doesn't really matter, because I've won here. So got only this single unit of artillery left. You see cannonballs just whizzing past the screen. I'll put it in slow motion in a minute. I think I said to Aitchy, I think he's just given up firing here. This is when I just randomly switch to shrapnel. See what it's like, see what happens. I just switched to shrapnel, and these are the last of those units. Oh no, these are lifeguards. He had life. Oh, I know. He moved some of his lifeguards into there. The rest he hid along here, and I just took some of them out. And that explains a lot. Didn't realise that. As you can see, I switched to shrapnel, see the effect. I soon switched back because I realised it's not as accurate. And at this range we need accuracy, because just on the edge of the range, as it were, with these cannons. Yeah, he's just given up firing, look. For now. See my guys in epic slow motion. Tell you what, they've been reloading for some time. Oh, he has started firing back. Just not so rapidly. Not so consistently, should I say. Here we go. Okay, just play. Poof. So yeah, nothing much is happening. He's really stretching his flanks, and Aitchy's, despite everything I tell him, he's kind of drawing. But anyone would really, I suppose. He didn't move these enough. He just turned these around. So I keep telling him he needs to watch his flank. This guy's turned his artillery back on Aitchy temporarily because I turned to shrapnel. He took out one cannon. That's it. Right now, anyway. Yeah, I soon switch back to normal shot. As you can see, I'm back on normal shot now, and I just finish off this unit here. Just speed things up. Yeah, look, Aitchy's advancing to stop this wrap. He's not doing it right though. But yeah, this is definitely one of the most effective tactics. Wrap around your enemies. As how I managed to defeat this opponent, I just completely I used Nelson's defeat in detail tactic, where you just take on one unit at a time, and I just wrapped all of my line infantry and Coldstreams and stuff around his units because they were so disorganized, so rambled after I took out the full brunt of them, and Aitchy had also been fighting. Anyway, here he's abandoned his artillery, he started moving it because I've taken out half his crew, and yeah, so he starts advancing his lines. His elite units that were hidden. He's also got some in here, which we can see. And Aitchy actually, oh yeah, this guy charged his general into Aitchy's cavalry. But Aitchy, of course, retaliated and started moving these units up as well. And he managed to defeat the enemy general. Here I just switched to canister to try and get some last shots in. He doesn't know that my skirmishers are here, I don't think. But yeah, he does now, look, because I started firing. Yeah, these guys just get completely destroyed because of canister shots in, as well as these rangers, and above them these Coldstreams. It's not pretty. Yeah, I just completely leave my artillery. I'm not bothered if they fall, because I can use them as a meat shield, so these guys can get some good shots in. And my rangers are on skirmish mode, so they start falling back. But that doesn't matter. As you can see, it started moving up his entire line here. You know, I'm fine with that. Here he tries to engage my Coldstreams melee. That was a bad idea on his behalf. You know, I send my lifeguards up here to break this flank. I managed to get him just before he gets into a square. Since he puts these units into squares, and that means Aitchy's able to finish this unit, I'm able to finish that unit. This was vital. If I hadn't done that cavalry charge, these guys wouldn't have gone to square. If these guys wouldn't have gone to square, Aitchy wouldn't have been able to swing around. And he only just managed to keep this last little bit by the time I'd finished and turned around. Anyway, I start moving my cavalry off the hill, and I plan to come around. He starts moving his general up with his 2 cavalry units, 2 lifeguards. As you can see, my infantry is just completely... Oh, it's superior to his, especially in the formation they're in the organisation they're in, on their location. I've got the advantage in every single aspect here. As you see, Aitchy's opponent's pushing him around, and so Aitchy manages to destroy this square, but that's it. I start wrapping around these flanks here to take this unit. I charge my lifeguards into my opponent's general, and at the same time I go and charge all of my cavalry units here, and I just completely take out his cavalry, and then I'm able to take the back of his units here, as well as those in the forest. And this is this opponent, almost done. After this he never really recovers. Anyway, he starts sending some units in here to try and break my lines, but they don't. They kind of engage here. I don't even bother putting them in square, because, you know, they barely get out the forest, and so many units firing on them. As you can see, I start wrapping around here as well. And then I've killed his general. And I'm helping Aitchy here. I've turned my units, and we take this flank. And then I start moving this unit here to supply Aitchy as well. This is where I've pretty much finished this opponent, and I start moving my units up here to help Aitchy. These guys, I start charging into the riflemen who are hidden in the forest, as if on cue. Slow motion charge. Oh, looking the wrong way. There we go. These units are all just starting to wrap round here. Not too neat, but I neaten it up when I get round. My general I just leave to inspire my men. My riflemen I eventually move around, but they come last because they don't have so much use. You can't really do double line screen like this. It's not so effective, especially not at this range. Anyway, me and Aitchy, these are like his only few units. I tell him, stop worrying about these units here, I'll deal with them. You've got to turn to face this guy. So he turns these units around, we kind of form a line along here, and we just keep wrapping in that defeating detail I said about. And because this guy has spent so many units trying to just push Aitchy back here, he doesn't have so many units to withstand us, so that's why we do a defeating detail. We take on that one unit at a time, right round. And we've pretty much got it there. I start moving all my units up to help Aitchy. Move these ones here, just in case he doesn't wrap these rounds, support him there. These cavalry units are finished with the riflemen. I tell them to move up to these line infantry, however they form square, so that's the end of my cavalry. I wasn't really too focused, I was a bit more bothered on this, however. It's exchange of volleys between my British redcoats and his lifeguard Swedish units. See ranked fire here. Yeah, instead of swinging around, Aitchy's actually pulled back, and that's good, because that gives us an opportunity to, you know, just completely flank him. As you can see, ranked fire. These guys have just done their job, Coldstream. As you can see, I could barely see, and I wasn't really too focused. These guys start to form a square, Well, you can't really see, but they do. They form a square, and that just completely obliterates my cavalry. These guys actually leave till last. That's where my general comes in. As you can see, defeats in detail, we took this unit out here, so now we wrap around, take this one, and we go to that one, and then to that one, etc. There's my general. Here he is. The guy who won the battle. Good old Skipper. I start putting these behind my units, and technically they're shooting in the back, but I'm not really too bothered at this stage. I literally just get them to charge at that unit there. As you can see. They shoot into the back of these units and just destroy them, but I'm really not bothered. Anyway, here we go, look, they form square, and they just completely obliterate my cavalry. But that means my line infantry here are able to destroy them. Got my cold streams wrapping around here. And at this point, Aitchy says, I'm going to move my general up behind yours, so he does. He moves his just behind mine. Then in a minute, I charge mine and I tell him to follow me. And then Aitchy actually loses connection, he drops out the game. But I carry on and I finish it off. This time I put my units in front of my line so I don't actually need to shoot my own men. And they crouch and these guys shoot over their heads. And it's just pretty much just one unit of lifeguards left. My line infantry and Aitchy's line infantry. And his, he's got his grenadiers here. I never actually saw them in action. I'm watching them now. But yeah, look, he threw some grenades, finished them off, melee charge. He's got that in the bag. I don't know why he tries to pull away. His grenadiers are pretty good in melee. But yeah, they've just got this one line infantry unit, and yeah, I can take that. I've won in the forest, look, with these line infantry units. Here we go. Aitchy's moving his general a bit closer behind mine, and then in a minute we set off. The key to the ending of this battle is, well, one, I managed to completely take this flank and wrap round. However, Aitchy lost his flank, so he just kind of turned the battlefield around and gave us less units. The key to it was the fact that we had more organisation. Because he was so busy chasing off Aitchy's routing units, making sure they didn't come back, that he didn't bother to take the rest of his flank, which allowed me to get all of my men to a line, and we just kept using defeat in detail to take each one of his units one by one. There you go, he's blasting his own units' artillery there. I'm just waiting for my general to do his thing. I do lose a fair amount of units. These are rangers, they got charged in melee. But I'm really not bothered. I'm really not bothered because I've got so many units, and I actually said to Aitchy, I shouldn't say the battle's done yet because anything can happen, but I think we've got this in the bag. And we did. They didn't manage to pick it up. And of course I charge my general here. While I'm charging, Aitchy tries to follow, but then he loses connection and his guy just stops. I'm charging at his artillery, and then I charge towards his next artillery whilst these guys are all busy fighting here. But yeah, this is where Aitchy lost connection, left the game. As you can see, his guys stopped charging. It's my general. Watch this. That's my general there. General Skipper. Complete crossfire here, would catch crossfire. And then I send my cavalry units up here to take the last of their artillery, but they've already fled. And as you can see, we have victory. I hope you guys enjoyed this battle. Please feel free to comment, rate and subscribe for much more content. More Empire Total War, more Napoleon Total War, and well, any Total War really. Channel update soon to explain everything that's happened, why I've been away, menu computer, etc. Here is the battle results. There's me. I deployed the third most, so I deployed the second least amount of units. I lost the least, 691. I killed the most, 1,321 people I killed. Aitchy, he came third place. He killed 785, that's the second most amount of people killed. Sorry, the third most amount of people killed. He lost, he didn't lose that many, 739, and he deployed the least. But that was most of his army wiped out, as you can see. Whilst he lost the least, it was still most of his army. This guy came second, Elite Force 2. He killed 1,074. He lost 1,115. And he deployed 1,431, and then last place was Jonathan Modai, or some Swedish name. And he only killed 208 of my men before I obliterated him. And that was mainly from his artillery. He lost 1,135 out of his 1,470. Anyway, unit statistics. So my Coldstream Guards here, they did the best. They got 2 chevrons from their original 1. Deployed 120 out of them. They lost 65 of their men, but they killed 248 with only 120 men. It's pretty good. My General's Bodyguard did the least, as you can see. They also lost the least. My guys who lost the most are my line infantry here. Deployed, yeah, line infantry, and experience, yeah, Coldstream. So Coldstream did the best. Good game to everyone. Link to Aitchy's channel in the description. Comment, rate and subscribe. See you next time.